People, deluded, I'm back again. There isn't much to talk about in the football world, but what I have got, we might as well crack on with that. So without wasting any more time, let's crack on. Now firstly, Matteo Guendouzi has urged football not to restart until Corona is taken off this world. He said, what's most important is everybody's health, not just in the footballing world, but in the medical world and the world in general. That's really what's most important. I'm in favour of starting nothing up again until this virus is taken off this world. For now, the orders have been clear. There's nothing at all, no training, no games, and not for a while. We know the United Kingdom took measures a bit after France, which means that this period is starting to be very difficult here. There's a lot of people who are starting to die from this virus. I don't know if we're at the start or just in the middle, but we know it's not the end of this virus. So we know it's not going to start up just yet. And I mean, what more can I add? He said it rightly. He said what we all feel, people. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards. But I do find it refreshing when players speak. It sounds silly, but speak on the world that they actually live in. I know footballers can be in their bubbles. Not that I'm saying footballers don't always, speak, but it's refreshing to hear is all I'm saying. So moving away from that, Paul Ince has had something to say on Alexis Sanchez's decline and why that's relevant, because he spoke on Ozil. He said, something that a lot of people overlook is Mesut Ozil. The reason Sanchez was so good at Arsenal was because he had Ozil next to him. Most of the things that Alexis did at Arsenal were connected with Ozil, which is true and false at the same time. Let's respect Alexis Sanchez. He was a bad boy in his own right at this club. He was a match winner in his own right, a decision maker within his own rights. But again, you're 100% right. Ozil brought the best out of Alexis the same way Alexis brought the best out of Ozil. And you know one common denominator not mentioned? Santi Cazorla. I say him because I definitely feel when Santi was here, Ozil you could see it in his body language. Ozil was allowed to stay further up the field. Ozil really had faith that Santi could build that. Alexis definitely only used to pass to certain man in the team at times. And at times it did look like them three versus the rest. They were all on a different sort of level. With Ozil, obviously, he had Alexis. With Alexis, he had Ozil. And I feel they brought the best out in themselves. I think in relation to their declines, relatively, I do think they've both just declined because it is what it is. Ozil's been in the game a while. Alexis has been in the game a while. He's played a lot of games for Chile and stuff, and maybe medical people will tell you. But in hindsight, this was always coming. Like, I wanted them both to stay. But, could you imagine if Ozil went and Alexis stayed in this form, we'd be saying the same thing. Or if both stayed, we'd really be in problems, especially if we still had Aubameyang, which wouldn't be the case because Alexis when Aubameyang came in. But I think, yeah, man. And he's also went on to say it works both ways. They made each other better. Look at Ozil since Sanchez left. He's not been the same player. As a pair, they had this telepathy, I can never say that word, with each other. They instinctively understood each other. They knew the runs the others was about to make without looking, and 100% that correct. But I do think both have declined in their both rights, and I agree with Paul Ince. I think both players though have just declined in their own rights and just not quite in their own rights. And I think the third denominator is Santi Cazorla, who really was underappreciated, man. And a half-fit Santi Cazorla on his way out of football and on the verge of a retirement home could contribute in this team. Testament to Santi, but also tells you where we are as a football club. I've mentioned this in a previous vid, people, but apparently Unai Emery is among the candidates to become the new AC Milan manager. At the moment, the favourite one is still Ralph Rangnick. You can see why Unai Emery is linked. He's been linked with a couple of Italian clubs. Obviously, his ex-Arsenal ties with Ivan Gazidis, who is now in the helm. He kind of understands how Emery works. Emery kind of understands how Gazidis works. There might be some confidence in stating Emery in that position. Who knows what they're doing, people. So we'll have to see what specifically happens in that regards. Moving away from this though, people, and I wanted to say something. First and foremost, you've all seen that but basically the first formal COVID-19 complications to the football world of transfers. FIFA cannot compel a club or player to abide by this directive if a player, despite these times, decides he wants to go on June 30th and join another club. Even if the 2019-20 season is still ongoing, he could still leave. And obviously FIFA kind of, they said they'd provide us an update on transfers, but they kind of dodged that. But for me, why that's of relevance to Saliba or anyone is Saliba's going to get put in a rock and a hard place if the 2019-20 season continues, people. because, you know, nobody could have predicted what's going to happen, yeah? But let's just say this. Like they said, if in theory, if Saliba wants to keep it, it's not just in relation to free transfers. If you're on loan elsewhere, you can keep it moving, sort of thing, is what some of the articles I read. So imagine Saliba now, you know, he's planned to be at St Etienne this season, and they're in a difficult position in which he's been one of the better players. Relegation's a possibility, even though I think they'll stay in it. Last time I checked, they were like 16th, 14th, 16th, but it's been a mixed season. I'm sure, you know, he feels a lot of gratitude to St Etienne for giving him his opportunity to, you know, make his dreams come true and developing. So I'm sure he would want to stay through to the end. But what if Arsenal come calling and say, yeah, I hear that, but we need you now. The season, you know, this season's still ongoing, but we need you now. What happens? Does he burn his bridges? Do we potentially burn bridges with St Etienne, a team we might want to poach their players off again? What happens there? Do we let Saliba stay? And then what happens? So it's a difficult one in that regards, people. It really is. It really is a difficult one. We'll have to really see what happens. So yeah, man. Moving away from that, and I don't think I've got anything else to add, so I'm just going to leave that one there for you lot, people. On that note, check out the rest of my vids, but for now, people, deluded, I'm out.